everybody, it is Romania Black, and I cannot believe we're on the season finale of Skip and Loafer. I I couldn't wait though. I was like, oh, after last episode when Ririka showed up, I'm like, what? How are they going to resolve this? Because the gang is all here, right? Like they're at the high school festival. Shima's doing his play. He's having some self-actualization maybe about himself. Ririka's there. The mom is there. The brother's there. I don't know what is going to go down. And Mitsumi is right there, smack dab in between Ririka and the mom. And it's like, how are we going to handle this? Now, I have to tell myself, Romania, this is not like a drama, not like a hard-pressed, super serious series, although this series has done an amazing job of touching on characters and like growing up and high school drama and things like that you go through. So I'm like, I'm not saying it's going to get off everybody scot-free, but I'm like, maybe it won't be as dramatic as my mind is making it out to be, but this is still like ripe with tension. And plus, something else is that this is an ongoing series with the manga. So I thought about that earlier today. I was like, okay, when I was like, decide I was going to sit down and watch this, I'm like, now they may not fully resolve the issue in this episode because it's an ongoing manga. It may just be like, this is a temporary, you need to leave Shima alone and kind of lay off of him a little bit. And then I have a feeling that it's not going to get fully resolved, and that Ririka and Shima's relationship is going to have to develop as the series goes. That's what I think is going to happen. But we're going to get like a little resolution to this, or like an end of Act 1 of her drama with him for now. That's what I'm predicting, but I don't know. I don't know how this is going to go. I'm like, ugh. And we have to find some way to like round out the season. And what I've liked about this series is just developing the friendship between Mitsumi and Shima, because it's not been a full-on romance. It's not been full-on romance vibes. But with that being said, it has developed their friendship. And that is always like a solid foundation of any relationship. A solid friendship, that's the basis of that relationship. So if they do future seasons, it has room to grow. It has room to grow. It has room to get for their relationship to maybe go to the next level because they're just first years. So there's tons of room. Like, you know, I've read series like Daokusei where it's about their relationship and then like what happens after high school. And so there's lots of potential. Like, you could have Sasaki and Miyano. It's kind of the same deal, except in that situation, they're like a year apart. But anyway, there's lots of room for situations like this and series like these where the characters are in a budding romance for it to go somewhere. But I like that this season has kept them as friends and with a little edge of possibility that there could be more. Like, if they honestly just stayed friends the whole series, I'd be fine with it at this point. I wouldn't want them to date other people. I'd staunchly defend them from dating other people. But if they just stayed platonic friends forever and were single the rest of their lives, then I'd be fine with that. But I don't think the series' end goal is that. I think their end goal is to have them together, but it's going to be a slow burn. So, and I can do a slow burn. If it's got good characters like this show, I can do a slow burn. I can do that. So, but I'm super excited. I'm very sad. This will be the last of Skip and Loafer for now. I know it's not a standalone season. I hope they make more. I hope this series got enough press where they make a second season. That would be awesome, because I hope they have enough source material for that to be a thing, because I would definitely watch it, because I think it'd be really fun to watch week to week, because this show is so fun to have as like a buffer to some of the darker, heavier shows I've been watching. This has been a really good show to kind of be the buffer and be like the go-to, like, oh, I want to feel good, I'm going to go watch Skip and Loafer. That's what this series has been, and I've really, really appreciated it. So with that being said, I'm excited to see this final episode, but I don't have a clue how things are going to be resolved. But I thank you all for watching with me. I hope you've enjoyed this journey. We'll talk more about it in the discussion, but we're not going to waste any more time. We're going to dive right into the final episode of season 1 of Skip and Loafer. And we're going to do that here in 3, 2, 1, and let's go. I'm going to miss this show a lot. Oh, I get the same vibes from Skip and Loafer that I get from Sasaki and Miyano, of this really cute slice of life high school show. Although Sasaki and Miyano is definitely a romance, a BL romance for sure. And there's a lot more romance. But I feel like with this show, I like that there wasn't as much romance as I thought right off the bat. Because, I mean, first of all, it doesn't align with either of their characters for them to instantly be in love at the end of the season. So by the time we got about to episode 5 and 6, I was thinking, okay, there's not going to be really a confession in this season, I don't think. Maybe one close, or maybe Shima, admitting that he might like Mitsumi, or that he cares about her or cares for her. I thought maybe there'd be something like that, but I didn't expect there to be a whole, definitely not a kiss. Definitely not, we got them holding hands and dancing. That is as much as we're getting. It is a slow burn. But what's so special about this series is that the slow burn feels earned. It feels worth it. It feels like we're getting to know these characters, and they're not just stereotypes. They're layered, they're deep, they're relatable. They're characters that you want to root for, and well, for the most part. And they're characters that you want to learn more about, and you want to see how they develop as the show goes on, which I really, really appreciate. So in that regard, I'm fine waiting, to season 2 or season 3 or whenever, if they keep making seasons for Sosuke and Mitsumi to, they got real close. He was definitely feeling, I think the end of this episode, he realized he likes her. I think in the end of this episode, he was like, I like her. And if we don't get a second season, I would definitely read the manga, because I'm like, I just want to know what happens between them. So it's so sweet. But I really like the way that they handled Ririka. I would have been so much harsher, but you know what? I think for Mitsumi, the funny thing is Mitsumi is so dazzled by all of the people that she's met in Tokyo. She's like, all these really pretty people are everywhere and they're so dazzling. But the irony is that for Sosuke, Mitsumi is the most dazzling person there, because she's the one that's the most genuine and true to herself. And what's so funny is that there's all these characters that are kind of envious of Mitsumi, and she doesn't even realize it. She's like, who's envious of little old me? And I like that even though she's kind of intimidated by Ririka because she's a model, that what I like about it is that even though she's intimidated, she doesn't back down. She's not scared of her. She's just like, oh, you're really intimidating and you've got a presence. But man, I hate that Ririka got on to the mom. Ririka is definitely one of those characters. She's one of those people, and I've met people that are like her. I think that's why I have such a reaction to her, because I've met people in real life that are just like her, and they're so annoying, and there's so much insecurity there, but they project that insecurity in the form of malice against people. It's like, girl, you need to back off. There was no reason for her to tell them, to guilt trip the mom. And then I like that she calls the mom and Shima narcissists when she's the biggest narcissist of the group. I'm like, wow. I was like, girl, you are calling the pot calling the kettle black. But I was like, they're not narcissists, you are. And the thing about it is that she's so insecure about herself that she will project anything onto others to make them feel bad. And I was going to be like, if she tried to put Mitsumi down, I was going to put my foot down. I feel like if this series goes on, there will come a point where she does try to put Mitsumi down and Sosuke defends her. And I would wait for that moment to happen. I think it's going to happen, right? But Sosuke handled that like a pro. Sosuke handled that whole situation so much nicer than he needed to, with so much more grace than he needed to. I was like, oh, dude. And so I hate that she makes the mom feel bad. And then the mom doesn't end up staying for the festival. I hate that. Because I'm like, the mom, he was doing it, yeah, to make her happy, but he wasn't mad about doing it to make her happy. And I hate that so much. So yeah. So we have the OP. It's Shima talking about, not being able to find the right words. I'm glad we finally get to see the lyrics and they're from him. Oh, love it. So yeah, I like that the whole anteater thing came back around and the anteater make themselves look bigger to be intimidating. I like that Mitsumi adapts the anteater pose. That's so funny and it's so in character for her. I also like the biology club with these sweatshirts with the little fish on them. I want that sweatshirt. I was like, their biology club is cool. I would join them. I don't like science, but I would join them just for the sweater. But yeah, I like that Shima is such a nice guy. Because not only, Shima, doesn't panic about his mom coming to see his play. He's not panicked about his brother being there. He's such a nice person that he totally is okay with with his parents, as well as Ririka and Chris showing up, as well as his middle school friends. Like, and here's the thing. At first, I think Ririka's plan kind of backfires a little bit because Ririka points out that he's, you know, been in film and stuff before. But I'm like, one, the middle school friends came without Ririka knowing, and they probably would have said something about it and revealed it anyway. So whether Ririka pointed out or not didn't matter. But two, it's kind of for the best that everybody knows now, because I think Ririka kind of shoots herself in the foot in this moment, because by her revealing Sosuke being an actor, now he has no choice but to confront it. Now he can't hide and pretend like he's not an actor anymore. He has to confront it and say, okay, everybody knows I either run away or I charge forward head first and deal with it. And I think his interactions with Mitsumi this season has propelled him to want to move forward with it. So I think everybody's gonna be, because by the end of the episode, everybody's cool about it. And they're like, hey, can we call you Sosuke and be friends? Yeah, I think, and when Mitsumi says she wants to be on the same level as him and his childhood friends, I think all of them want that. They all want to be as trusting as Sosuke is with his friends. I also love Kiri, where he's like, hello. He's just so cute. His little brother's so adorable. It's great. But yeah, and I like that all the middle school friends come and see him, and then they all see Ririka, and poor Sosuke, he's like, kill me now. Here she is. She's the winch herself. And everybody's like, oh, okay. Yamada looks like he's about to like leave his body. And it's like, yeah, I was an actor. And then I like that Mitsumi kind of figures out what's going on. Mitsumi realizes that Ririka said those things to make the mom leave. And she's like, oh, she did that on purpose. I'm like, yes, she did. And Mitsumi's like, Mitsumi and Sosuke are better people than me. They handle it so much better. Because, yeah, that's when Mitsumi realizes what she did. She's like, She's like, she also, was it to poke at him? The answer is yes. And when she looks over, I like that Ririka is a, like, jaguar or cheetah, and then Mitsumi is like a little mouse. Her and Chris Kun are little mice. I love it. I freaking love it. It's adorable. But I like that in this moment, Ririka is about to stir the pot, because Sosuke's like, did you say something to my mom? And she's like, oh, not really. He's like, oh, did you want her to stay? And he's like, well, I mean, she's like, oh, you should be glad, if anything. And that's when Mitsumi's like, back off, bitch. Mitsumi's like, get out. I love Mitsumi just being like, you are not invited to this anymore. Because Mitsumi's so precious and innocent that there's not a mean bone in Mitsumi's body. She is the most precious, innocent being. We are different in that regard, but she is so kind, and she doesn't want to start a fight. She's on the student council, but she's like, back off, bitch. Leave him alone. Go get in line. And I love that she uses her status in student council to kind of like justify her actions, because Ririka's like, what the hell are you doing? And Sosuke's like, what? And they all are kind of looking at her, and she's like, look, you need to go and get in line, or you're gonna miss the play. And she just tells her to go. And Ririka's like, oh, sure, I guess, I'll go. And then he's like, wait a minute. And that's when he realizes the anteater pose, and Sosuke finds it absolutely hilarious. She's doing the anteater. And him, like, just genuinely laughing. And he's like, oh, I'll share that picture with you later. And it's like, and Ririka's just like, what is this? Them being friends? Sharing things after school? Him having friends other than me? What? I'm like, girl. And the thing about it is, like, she is on Igashira to another level. Like, she has the envy and jealousy of Igashira times 100. And all of her insecurities. I'm like, she is lucky that Chris and Shima spend any time with her. With that attitude. She is lucky that they tolerate her. And I'm glad they're honest with her this episode, because, and I don't wish anything negative against Ririka. I get why she has all these insecurities, but my whole thing is, as a person, you can't just use it as an excuse, right? You can't be like, oh, woe is me. I had a bad childhood, so I'm going to be a bitch. You can't do that. When you're at that, she's like a young adult. You got to grow up at some point. And yeah, deal with your trauma, go to therapy, get some professional help, but you can't take it out on people around you, or they won't want to be around you. And that's like, it's like a self-sabotage. Like, she's just in this vicious cycle. And I feel for her. I want her to get help, but she's kind of the worst. And I'm like, you need to stay away and go get some help. Like, seriously. I'm glad she cried it out because she needed to do that. And Chris is like, I want to talk to Sosuke, so I'm going to stay here. I like that Chris doesn't put up with her bullshit. He follows her for support because he's a nice guy. Chris is a good guy, but he doesn't put up with her. And I like that. He's like, oh, sorry, we showed up. And he's like, oh, it's fine. And then he came clean. Now, he does say this line here where he says, I get what she's trying to say. I think Chris is like, I get what she's trying to say. Like, I think both of them think that the mom made him act as a kid. But we know as the audience that there's more to it than that maybe even Chris and Ririka don't know. So that's interesting there. And then I like that Mitsumi is like, you know, good and bad. You share a lot with your childhood friends. And she's like, just like Fumi. And she's like, she's like, I can't surpass the time that they've shared together, but I want to get on that level. And I love that she just does the, she just does the move to make him feel better. Like in that moment, she knows, she's like, I can't say in words anything that will make you feel better, Sosuke. She's like, I don't know what the deal with Ririka is. I don't know what the deal with your childhood friend is. You've not opened up to me about that, and that's fine. But she's like, I want you to feel better. So she's like, eh. It is the cutest thing. I love it so much. It's just like, eh. Like just make him feel better. It's so dorky and adorable. And him just blushing, being like, what is with that pose? And she's like, I don't know. Just, you know, I'm going back to work. Want to make you feel better. Oh, she didn't tell him to break a leg. She said, good luck. Girl, that's why he forgot his lines. You jinxed it. That's so good. No, he was in his head. But yeah, I love that they're both, Shima and Mitsumi are both kind of weirdos, but they're their own weirdos, and I love it, right? So I like that we get Sosuke basically going through this last part and talking about, you know, being about good luck, making people happy. He's like, am I allowed to act if it's for myself? He's like, and I like that Sosuke is honest. He's like, I don't, you know, have preferences. He's like, I'm not the type of person that has things that are favorites. He's like, I'm not that kind of person. He's like, I know what people expect from me. And he's like, and I'm a people pleaser. I like to please them. Everybody's happier when I give them what they want. And so he's like, so that's kind of why I acted. It's easier if I just go along with it. And then I don't have to worry about what I like because I know I'm making others happy. But that's not a sustainable thing, right? And then he looks to Mitsumi and she says she's going to become like a politician to help, like, because it's her decision, but she's doing it to help others. And I think in that moment, you know, what he can take from Mitsumi is she's being a politician because she enjoys it, but it also gives her the opportunity to give back to people she cares about. So it's kind of like if he likes acting, he can be an actor because he likes it, but he can also be an actor because it gives back to people who believe in him and care about him. So I feel like he can look to her as an example in that moment, which is great. And he's like, are we really that different? And it's like, no, they're different professions, but it's talking about that same idea of finding that balance between doing what you want and satisfying yourself and being able to be good at it and passionate, and that will satisfy others around you. And God, it's so good. This monologue is so great. And then, like, as he's behind the scenes, you know, getting ready, she's like, you need a goal. And she's like, whether you succeed or fail, we'll go get some food somewhere afterwards. And he's like, is having a goal really that great? And he's like, because with goals, there are risks. What if you fail? What if people get mad at you? What if it doesn't go all right? And he's like, no, that really doesn't matter. And he's like, what matters is what I want. And I like as he looks out, he's like, is it because I'm so anxious that I feel attacked when I see people who are passionate about something? It's envy. Like he's like, all these people have these passions that they're so into. And he's like, I don't have that passion. He's like, I'm envious that they know what they want and they go after it. But I'm insecure because I don't have that about myself. Like, I love Shima going through this and explaining this to us and explaining why he feels this way. He's like, when a random girl likes me, do I feel uncomfortable because of my lack of confidence? And that's so, like, Shima is like one of the most handsome guys at that school. And for him to say that he lacks confidence, like, I love that realism of this guy who's really good looking being like, I'm uncomfortable because I don't think I'm as good as they think I am. So he's like, I don't know what to do with that. I'm also like, stay away from them random girls. Stay with Mitsumi. He's like, was I relieved when my mom left, or did I want her to watch? And, you know, I'm mad that the mom doesn't get to see him perform because I think she wanted to watch him and she went out of her way to see him. Like, Ririka was wrong. She didn't force him to do this. He was doing it because he liked it. He didn't tell her about it. So I'm hoping one day she gets to see him act. Like, I would like for that to be the case. He's like, why do I not even know myself? And then Yamato's like, go for it. And then poor Shima, he's like in another world. And then he thinks back to Kanachika. And he's like, I was sorry I couldn't talk to him after the show. But then he says, no, I chose not to talk to him. He's like, I was envious of what he had. And because I don't think I have it. He's like, I'm envious of Mitsumi and Kanachika because they're so passionate and they shine so brightly. He's like, I know this feeling, and it's envy. And that's so, like, to see somebody like that's, what I love about Shima's character is when he started out, he just felt like this aloof, like, himbo. And, you know, he's like the hot guy that's been in every rom-com, and you're like, you get to know him a little bit, but it's mainly about Mitsumi. And what I love this series has done is it's fleshed out Shima's character so much. And I love his character. Like, I love Shima. Like, I love him and Mitsumi are like right equal with one another. And they both have insecurities in different ways, but it works so well. My heart sings for him. Like, I would watch a whole series with just Shima. I love Mitsumi too, but just, and I like how his friends are nice. Like, he's like, oh, I forgot the line. The guy's like, hey, no worries. It worked out. They don't know, you know, because that happens in plays. I like that he was kind of self-conscious about it, but then everybody ended up liking it anyway. It was fine. They were all excited. And then when Ririka walks out, being so rude, like, he walks after her. And Chris walks out with her, and he's like, hey. And then Chris is like, you did such a good job. And I feel like Chris knew he was going to catch up with Sosuke later. So he's just like, I'm just going to leave with her. It's fine. She's my ride. And then he's like, that was really good. Like, I like that Chris is so nice. It's not hard to be kind. And I'm so glad that Sosuke stands up for himself. He's like, you know, I'm thinking that I like that he tells her, and he stands up and says, I don't think I can make up for what I did to you. And here's the thing. He's so guilt-tripped. He told her to not go in, and she still did it. What does she want from him? When he said that, when she was like, oh, I knew it's my fault that he told me to stay out and I still went in. I'm like, then why are you guilt tripping him, girl? That's like your insecurities. Why are you forcing it on him for years? Like, it's not just something after the fact. She's been doing this to him for years. I was like, oh, whoa. That's like, girl. And I like that he gets this conviction. He like does the fist. He's like, I don't want to keep following you down that same self-destructive path. Not anymore. I'm like, good. I'm glad that he sticks up for himself. He's like, no, I'm not going to follow you. And then he's so nice. He says, I'll help. I'll do anything I can to help you move on. He's like, I will be here for you. I will listen to you. He's like, I promise. He's like, I'll listen if you're stressed out or you want to vent. Even if you wake me up in the middle of the night, that's fine. He's like, I can't be around you while you're like this. And I like that he just gets that courage. And he's like, I'm enjoying school. And you're kind of being awful. Oh my gosh. But yeah. And then I like, he's like, I'm enjoying my life. He's like, so. And then we come back to them. And she's like, what? She's like, well, listen to yourself. All I heard was forgive me. I want to be happy. And I'm like, yeah. Kind of. I'm like, he's not tasking her to forgive him. He said he was sorry, but he's like, I don't want to drown with you anymore. Like, you're just being the worst. And then when she says, as if you're allowed to ask for that, that's the part that gets me. Like, I understand she's insecure, and I understand that she feels he shouldn't, get out of thinking that this isn't an okay situation that happened years ago. But when she says you're not allowed to ask for that, I'm like, girl, you're overstepping a boundary. You're stepping out of bounds on that one. And he's like, well, you're not wrong, but that's what I'm asking. He's like, sorry. He's like, take it or leave it. I love that. I love that he's like, look, you're not wrong for being mad at me. You're not wrong for not forgiving me. You're not wrong for hating me, but I'm not going to follow you down this road anymore. I'm going to have to move on. So you can either be my friend and I'll help you work through it and I'll listen to you, which is so generous of him. Or he's like, or take it or leave it. That's what I'm offering. Yeah. Good, you wench. And she's like, you and your mom are both narcissists. And I'm like, And she tries to flip him off and throws the hat. And she's like, oh, but don't you ever show your face to me again. And I'm like, girl, I hope he doesn't. He's going to because he's a nice guy. But I'm like, if somebody threw their hat at me and was like that, I'd be like, come to me whenever you feel better. Ugh. And then he looks around and he's like, Ririka. And he had to have like the last word and have the high ground where he's like, thank you. I was like, oh, bitch, yes. And she tries to flip off and Chris is like, this is a family show. And he's like, hello, you're a celebrity? Why do I have to come with you? And then she cries into his handkerchief. And I'm like, girl, let it out. But, oh my gosh. Yeah, she's crying because she can't control him anymore. She doesn't have him on a leash anymore. Poor her. I like that Chris is nice enough to offer her water, his handkerchief. She's like, I know it wasn't totally Sosuke's fault. She's like, the whole scandal thing and losing my job. And when she says, he told me not to come, but I followed him anyway, and that's on me. I'm like, well, that's what this is. Then it's all on you. Like, that's all this is about. Girl. It's not fair. Well, no, it's not fair, but that's the way it is. When he's with me, he looks like he'd rather be anywhere else. And I'm like, that's because you're an awful person. It's because you're being a bitch. Yeah. It's so much easier for him to be with girls who know nothing. And I'm like, don't be getting Mitsumi in this. Mitsumi knows a lot. Maybe not about you all. Of course he'd leave me and pick them. And I'm like, girl, he's leaving you and picking them because he's not, one, not attracted to you. And two, because you make him feel awful. Why would he want to be around you? He's like, I was so busy. I barely passed middle school. And I like that Chris gets on to her being like, he's not the reason you did bad in school. That's on you. Like, that is not his fault. I was like, he went to a top-notch high school because he got there. Like, come on now. And Chris is like, but you don't need to guilt trip him. He wouldn't have gone anywhere anyway. He's not that kind of guy. He cares more about you than that. Yeah, he cares about you enough to offer to, like, help you. You know, he didn't have to. And I like Chris tries to, like, kind of hit on her, and then she, like, does the thing with her, and he's like, it's your own damn fault. Your grades sucked. Yeah. God, she's such a brat. There is a part of me, as much as I dislike Ririka, and I'm like, oh my God, girl. And in real life, I would not want to be around her at all. In real life, people like that, I'm like, nope, don't need you in my life. That negativity, take it somewhere else. But what I would like in the series is for her to become a better character, for her to become a better person, because nobody deserves to be in a rut like that. Nobody deserves that. She deserves to get back on track. So I would love if she got help in the series. I would also love if Mitsumi and her kind of bonded, because I think Mitsumi would be a good influence on her and make her a better person. If Mitsumi's going to be part of the friend circle with Chris and them, then she's probably going to see Ririka again. I would love for her to, like, talk with Ririka, because Mitsumi is not, she's not shell-shocked by celebrities, so I think she can handle herself around Ririka now that she, has done the anteater pose. And then we get this scene with the president where he kind of opens up to Takamine. And she's like, well, I'm crying because of, everything going well, but then it's all over. And she's like, you wouldn't understand as someone as gifted as you. And he's like, and I love that he's so honest. I feel like, is that Atsushi's voice? Is that the voice that's there? I feel like I know that voice actor. I'm sure somebody said in the comments before, but I was like, But yeah, it's like, yeah, I guess I wouldn't know what you're talking about. And then he's like, in my family, we're all expected to go to Tokyo U. And I love that he sits down and starts talking to her, and she's like, I didn't ask for your life story. But he tells her anyway. I'm shipping Takamine and him now. I'm like all for it, because they're I talked about in a few episodes ago, they're like on different levels and they're so different. But here he kind of opens up and he's like, well, you kind of sound like my family. my family are all doctors and consultants. And he's like, I'm the black sheep that's just the kid that likes soccer that just happens to get all the good looks in the family. He's like, I'm the one that's kind of singled out. You would fit in with my family because of how, leaderly you are. And I like that she's like, I didn't ask. And he's like, when I was a kid, we'd get together on holidays, but all the older kids would be studying and they'd shut themselves up in their rooms. He's like, I wanted to do something with my high school life. And he's like, I got my injury and I couldn't play anymore. So I figured I'd do this. He's like, I'm sorry that I took this position that you craved. And I like that there's a theme in this episode about how sometimes life isn't fair. There's that whole thing where Rick is like, well, but why does he get this and I don't get this? And it's not fair. And it's like, yeah, life sucks sometimes and it's not fair. And that's kind of the hardest thing about it. And with Takamine, he's like, I'm sorry I took that job from you that you wanted so badly. What can we do? He's like, I'm sorry, Takamine. That something was a position that you craved. And she's like, well, don't be. She's like, it was a fair election. I like that Takamine is like, you know what? Yeah, you won that fair and square, so I can't be too mad about it. It was a democratic process. And he's like, yeah, it turns out I was way more popular than you, right? And she's like, I hate you. I love it. She's like, and he's like, here, I don't need him. And he's like, good work. And gives her the flowers. I'm rooting for them. Yes, I'm rooting for the president and the vice president so much. I love Hanachika gets the award. He's so proud. The poor Ryoko, she's like, you guys, I work so hard. And they're like, it's fine. And then I like that Yamada's trying to get close to Sosuke on a first name basis. And Mukai's like, well, you guys work. Just because you're pretty doesn't mean you get out of work. And then I love all the shots at the end of the year. Like we see them all, like all of the window shots, the animation, the school desks up. There's just such a nostalgia to it. It's so good. Oh, I love it. And then they're all getting together, planning for the next sleepover and making it a study sleepover so they can study while they get together. I love that Igashira's like, sure, I'll come. Like progress, right? Like Igashira's been around Mitsumi and her personality has come out of her shell. She's changed for the better. Get Ririka, get that girl over here and we'll help her out. Well, that'll be fine. We'll be great. Be good. And then, yeah, that last scene. I was hoping there'd be one more scene with Mitsumi and Sosuke. What I love about it, too, is, again, Mitsumi is the opposite of a stage 5 clinger. Like, what I love about Mitsumi is she doesn't follow Shima around everywhere. She goes and does her thing. She gets that done. And she's like, okay, I'll see you later. All right, bye. And goes and it all works out. But she doesn't rely on being around him 24/7. Oh, I love that. And then I like that Sosuke's like, do you need any help? And she's like, oh, no, it's just a meeting. It's fine. And then he keeps going back. He keeps going back and asking her. He's like, well, about tomorrow, I can help you out. And, when I finish up. And she's like, oh, that'd be great. She's like, hit me up when you're free. She's like, I'll tell you where you're needed the most. And as she's skipping away, I think that's when it hits him. Yeah, he sees her run away. And it hits him that he likes her. Mm-hmm. And she's like, well, what is it? And she's like, yes. And that blush and everything, that genuine smile that he has. Oh my God, girl. And he's like, nothing, I'll see you tomorrow. And she's like, okay. Yes. Oh, these two lovebirds. Yes, I love it. And she's like, metropolitan, mature, and kind. She's like, I can't believe I met somebody as dapper as him. Ah, I know, right? She's like, I'm Iwakura Mitsumi, 15 years old. I came here from a tiny remote town on the border of the Ishikawa prefecture. And I love all the places and people that she's met. Yep. We've been blessed with a whimsical, vast autumn sky. Ah, I love it. Ah! I'm going to miss this show so much. What I don't know is how long this series is. Skip and Loafer manga season 1. How much does it cover? So It basically, real quick, said the anime ends at volume 4. Okay, so the anime covered 4 volumes in 12 episodes, which is really good. So that's crazy. Skip and Loafer. I want to see how many volumes there are right now to know how many volumes there are currently. There's 10 volumes. So, okay, there are 10 volumes of Skip and Loafer. So let's be real, right? Let's do the math here. I'm not a math teacher, but if you covered season 1 in 4 volumes and we got 10 out, that means we got 6 to go. So they could theoretically go ahead and animate a season 2 based on the next 4 volumes. I'm just saying they could do that. I'm just saying they could animate a season for volumes 5, 6, 7, and 8. And maybe by the time they get done with that, we'd have enough for season 3. They could so do that. I mean, my fingers are crossed. I'm going to be patient. My fingers are crossed that they'll animate a season 2 and they've got enough material to do it. Fingers are crossed they'll get on that. It might not be this year. It might not be next year. But I'm going to be hopeful that they're going to animate us a new season. I'm really, really hoping that they do. But I'm also hoping that I get to watch some slice of life anime this year that rivals Skip and Loafer in terms of just being just fun and wonderful and heartwarming. So this show had my heart. I love the characters. I love the humor. I love the emotion and the passion in it. And I just love the dynamic between Mitsumi and Shima and the others. I'm rooting for Ririka to get better. So there's that. Come on, show. So I'm excited to hear your thoughts down below for this final episode. I'm going to miss this series, but I am excited that hopefully they'll make more anime for it in the future. So in the meantime, I hope y'all have a wonderful week. Please stay safe, take care, and I'll see you all on my channel with some more reactions and hopefully some Skip and Loafer in the future.